Hello, and welcome to another horror review. That's what's going on. Hang on. Right, folks, I've been wondering why my stream's been sounding like very echoey lately, if you've noticed. It's using a bloody webcam microphone. So, I guess we'll put this away for the minute. I don't know if I can change it. No, it's not going to let me. Oh, that's a camera. Da, da, da. Right, please let me know if that's better. I don't know what it is about these. You set the thing up, and you've probably noticed as well some of the horrific tales. For some reason, software just randomly switches over microphones, and it's like, ugh. I need to look for a webcam, I think, without a microphone built in. But most of them say that comes with a feature, and it's flipping annoying. Although it's handy if I'm using multiple platforms, which I've had to do with guests in the past. Like if I'm using Zoom or Skype or something, as well as this, it kind of works using both, having two microphones. But God, it's been bugging the hell out of me. My last videos, I'm just sounding like I'm a flipping boom. My voice just like booming all over the show. Hopefully that's fixed anyway. Right, let's get on with the movie. Doll Cemetery. It was all right. It was actually pretty decent, to be honest. We start off with a strange scene. I know it's about killer dolls. Like, basically, it spells it out. We'll have this lady. She's in her house, or she just comes home or something and finds a package. She's going about her business, and next thing you know, the box is open, and then she's getting fucking hammered in the head by this doll. It's a person in a doll's suit, but what I will say, for a low-budget independent film, they've done this quite well. It's only towards the end that we see the sort of, the bit of the mask and the skin, but for the most part, they've done it quite well with the movements and that. And there's later on, actually, because the doll changes sizes throughout the movie. It's one of the sort of creepy things about it, and there's like a large version of it, and it's actually done really well. However, that bodysuit and stuff was quite cool. So, yeah, decent bit of effort put in this. We then get this other scene with a hiker. He's kind of skipping through the countryside, and he looks like he's either documenting something or writing or doing something weird, and then we encounter the doll again. So it's already setting up that it's a killer doll. It's not really spoilers. It's kind of all implied in the name anyway. But yeah, then we'll meet the main character, Brendan Hobbs. He's a writer. Now, I genuinely thought he's going to see a mob boss. The opening scene with him, get into this, like, I thought it was a bar, but it's a cafe. Maybe it's a cafe bar type thing, but the bouncer stopping him and all. You honestly thought he's gonna, like, he's going to flip and see the mob. It turns out it's his literary agent. You're like, that's a bit. Is there a bit of an allegory there or something happening? But yeah, this movie, if you're an independent author and you're considering getting a literary agent, this movie might put you off. Let's just put it like that. But yeah, you signed a 3-book deal. We only have one. You've not written anything. Where's your writing? Well, I'm doing it. I promise I'm doing it. And I find out Brendan's an alcoholic. He's broken up. His family's broken apart. The wife's gone with the kids. He's not in a good place. And then this is where, what you call him? What was Socrates or something weird? But anyway, the literary guy, he says, I've got an idea. Isolated location, no Wi-Fi, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to send you there. 3 weeks, get something on paper. That kind of stuff, And the guy Brendan keeps going on about, well, you signed a movie deal. It's like, what am I getting? It's like, well, you haven't written anything, so you're not getting anything. It's a weird conversation. It's like, yeah, the deal is you produce something, then you get the money, but you don't just get the money and not produce anything. It was that sort of conversation. But so this guy, Hobbs, he's all over the show. He's a bit of a mess. I would say this is a cross between The Shining. We've got vibes here of the Jack Torrance character, but this is definitely Wicker Man. Without spoiling the movie too much, it's definitely Wicker Man. The whole vibe of this. Brendan arrives up. Anyway, something's off. Or actually, a bit like Hot Fuzz. If you've seen Hot Fuzz, and all sort of Yorkshire, people, this is what we're encountering. Even the taxi driver, I go no further, only go here, and then just drives off and leaves him to make his way up this like private lane into the farmhouse. Then we encounter she's just known as the seductress in this. If you think of the Matrix, the girl in the red dress, this is it. And she's just standing in the middle of a country lane in this red dress, and she encounters Hobbs, and there's a wee bit of titillation and play because I know she's flirting with him just in the middle of a country lane, and it's weird because they're like she's dressed like in an evening gown, as if she's going to like a fancy nightclub or something, not in the middle of a country lane. It's just, but I think that's the whole point of the scene is for the surrealness of what's going on, because gradually we're seeing Brendan lose his mind as he goes through the story, which is interesting way to do it. I will say there's good character acting in this film. As you can see beats from other movies, you can kind of pick it out, but the actual character acting and all this is pretty decent, and it's watchable, and you can kind of relate with him. The guy who plays Brendan, the author, does a good job of he's on the ropes. He's like on that downward spiral, and it's played out nicely. But yeah, he gets shown up to told where to go to the house. He encounters normal locals who asks him, has he followed the rules? Like, it's barely in the cottage. He's like, what are you talking about? And the guy then just sort of off he goes. That's fine. He gets settled in. Late at night, the seductress comes back. Or just daily, yeah. No, it wasn't that night. He kind of got settled in. That's when he had his dream. Now, this is with the audio. Everything kind of goes a bit wonky. He's hearing the doll speak to him, but they've distorted the voice that much, and it's kind of telling him the rules in his sleep. But I couldn't make it out. It was quite tricky, just the way it's so distorted. Now, I don't know if that was intentional, that you don't pick up what the rules are, because that's kind of the theme throughout this whole film. But it would have been nice to be able to pick it apart. Now, I could probably go back and scroll over about 5-10 times to figure it out, but if you're watching the movie, it shouldn't be that hard. I understand voice effects. I understand changing a voice to sound more spooky or ethereal, or not to be 100% clear if it's in a dream, but you still need to be able to understand, unless it's going to reveal later on, which this doesn't. So if I had started off really garbled and distorted that you couldn't pick it up, but then each night there was a dream and it got clearer and clearer, I would have been happy with that. But this is kind of your one shot where the rules are explained by the entity, and it's just garbled, which is a bit of a shame, because you're sort of scratching your head, because as the audience, you're like a third person perspective, so you should sometimes have a bit of a heads up more than the character, because you kind of know where the character's going, and then the mystery is the character's heading into a situation, how they're going to possibly get out of it. and that's cool as well. Or if you're part of the mystery and the mystery's being unfolded, then you need it to unfold in front of you. And that's where it kind of fell apart a wee bit. You know, I would have liked that either be clear or be revealed again, but didn't happen. It didn't ruin the, just as gripe, it didn't ruin the movie. And funny enough, the people who make this one, if you saw the community post about YouTube, they did another movie, Revenge of the Flipping Leprechaun or something. That man is 3 minutes in it, man. Nah, right. It's the same company that made this one. And this is a much better movie, you know, much more watchable. But, sorry, my screen's doing weird stuff as well. Because this is the joys of going live. That's happened to me yesterday. The screen's kind of blacking out as if it's going into screensaver mode. But I'm on full monitors here, so it doesn't make sense why it's doing that. Oh, right. I have a Windows update due. So always whenever you've got a Windows update, it starts arsing about. So that'll either fix it or break it more. I hate computers sometimes. Bloody frustrating. You just want the tool to work, to do the job, get on with things. Haven't got time to be faffing about fixing settings all the time, so I never get any content made. That's what I was relying on. And then this, because I'm kind of getting off on tangents here, but the basic plot is this guy's then encountering the locals, and they keep, you know, the farmer. Jim comes up the next morning and goes, Did you leave a gate open? Did you let my livestock out? He's like, no. Because he hadn't even been out at that point. He'd just arrived at the cottage. And it was like the next morning. And then the hint gets dropped. Did you follow the rules? And this keeps going on. Did you follow the rules? He meets a crazy guy again. And then the crazy guy kind of drops a hint about what one of the rules are. And I think it's all about, if he follows the rules, he'll survive the experience. If he doesn't follow the rules, he won't. It's one of those sort of ritualistic type movies. And that's why I'm kind of saying I've got a Wicker Man vibe. Because I'm trying to think of Edward Woodward's character. Sergeant Howe, yeah. I wonder if Edward Woodward's still alive. What? No, he's gone. Fuck. 2009? Holy crap. That was a while ago. Oh, apologies, America, for the Equalizer. I always feel like when you mention Edward Woodward, you have to apologize for that TV show, even though I watched it as a kid and thought it was funny. A strange show, really was. he was an actor in a strange part that just didn't fit him. But there you go. Yeah, then we'll just get like I said, the seductress appears again, and that's when she comes into the room at night. She brings wine with her. And I think it's all to get him to fall off the wagon, even though he doesn't stop drinking the whole time he's there. You know, the minute he, I've had a bit of a heavy weekend. We've had a bank holiday weekend with Coronation. I've overindulged a bit, and I've been detoxing myself today. I'm going to have to behave myself the rest of the week. I couldn't imagine living like that, where he's always topping himself up. That's like, I'm feeling pretty rough today. I couldn't imagine being like that all the time. Like, you get nothing done. Especially when you're supposed to be a writer, creator, you can't be constantly. It's like being a sports person and not looking after yourself, going getting cheeseburgers every day. Your performance is going to suffer horrendously. So him being a writer and then completely mashing up his brain with booze all the time, of course he's got writer's block, or he's not going to be able to write because he's like spending most of his time either wasted or recovering or topping up. You know, it's of course you're going to get nothing done. But this is it's almost as much of the story of his spiral, if that makes sense, as the supernatural entity. Oh, Evening, Chris. Good to see you. Welcome on board. Always great to have you on. If you've got Chris in your channel, you're very lucky. Just say that. Guy's amazing. Absolute backbone of if you're a creator trying to get an audience. Fantastic. Yeah, this there's not really much more of a plot to talk about in the movie. That's the thing. Until the actual reveal what's going on. It's just him falling off the wagon, getting more and more spiraled out of control. He gets the doll in the post like the first girl, but he keeps it with him. Then he starts to visualize that it's moving around and he's going to watch it. And but it's played in the fact that it's him losing his mind as much as the doll doing something, and this all plays out, which actually makes this a decent drama. A lot of my complaints about sort of indie horror movies are the actors aren't invested in the roles and are kind of just reading off a page. And that's can be frustrating because you need the character actors, you need the characters to come to life on screen. It doesn't matter about the effects. As I said, you can always forgive bad effects, especially when you know there's limited budget. But you need the actors to be invested. And when you don't get that, you kind of disconnect from the story. At least for this one, I said each of the characters playing their roles play it, and they don't overplay it or underplay it. They just play their characters, and it's good to see. Then we'll find out this is Alfred the doll. Oh, by the way, this goes by two names. So it's Doll Cemetery, but if you look up the IMDb, it's Alfred the doll. So Alfred the doll must have been the working title, and then the studio decided Doll Cemetery for some reason. But there you go. That's hardly the thing to get upset about. Just that happens a lot with movies. Yeah, so he's trying to write again. He's then Alfred the doll becomes the title. He starts typing about it. I think it was the last visit from the seductress when she appears. She starts looking and reading out, and then actually starts adding some of her own bits. And this is where it hints: does she actually exist? Are these people that he's encountering as a part of his decline in mental state, that he's starting to hear things and imagine things, or is it actually happening? I think the spoiler was when we see the doll twice before Brendan, so we know the doll exists and it's actually doing it. So playing out with him losing his mind doesn't really, there's no mystery to solve because it's already solved at the beginning. We know the doll's evil. We know the doll kills people. So that's, it's already there. It's just now what's happening with him. He then meets the farmer again, appears. No, the weird bloke, the one that's running around, comes back again, lets him in some things, saying, I shouldn't really tell you, starts the first rule apparently is to feed him leaves. But we never got to pay it off. You're told that, but it doesn't really, it's just words. We don't see the ritual enacted out or what he has to do, what type of leaves, how he feeds them to him, that kind of stuff. Just garbled words, which almost basically get brushed off, so nothing changes. So, but then the guy that's run about, he gets taken care of by the doll, I suppose, for betraying him, and that's the end of that bit of the plot. Yeah, like I said, most of his scenes, but the other characters are bringing in, they're not really utilizing. It's hard to figure out what's actually going on. We're starting to realize it's bigger than just the doll, because obviously somebody's posting the doll, there's somebody else involved. So we know there's like a conspiracy or a, like I said, we're busy saying cult or something. That's quite obvious at the beginning of the movie anyway. So not really a spoiler. Then it sort of ramps up where he ends up fighting the doll, and that's what I'm saying. The doll goes from like small size to full size, like not even human size, but giant human size, and that was done really well. And it's like the final battle between him and the doll, and then we realize that he encounters the cult, and then we kind of see what's going on. I bet it's not fully like in the Wicker. I'll use the Wicker Man example again. We knew, and it was explained very well, that the Wicker Man was because the harvests went bad, the offer needed to be made, and then that's was the idea to bring the crops back. This lot don't really explain why. Excuse me. And this is where movies, I guess, I think, lose themselves, or they don't do as well, and that's why maybe indie horror gets such a bad rap, because these are fixes that don't cost money. These are tweaks in the script. These are storytelling elements. And I've noticed with a lot of independent horror, a lot of that stuff gets glossed over or left almost in favor of the blood and gore. And I think that's why a lot of people write like low budget horror movies off, not because of the effects, which everyone hyper focuses on. It's not that. It's these gaps that they don't tell a full story. I think it could be fixed. Just need I think the right people offering support. The directors, like I think networking's brilliant. I do, you know what I mean? When I give these reviews, it's meant with the whole heart, as in I want to enjoy a movie. I'm not just panning things or picking things just to be, haha, look at me, I'm so edgy, I hate everything. Yeah, go make fun of that. That's not where I come from in this. I genuinely want to see good movies. I don't need to see $1 million spectacles with loads of CGI and like high-rise, high-end special effects and A-listers. Because as we know, that once that starts happening, like if horror became the next thing, like the with comic books and all, eventually it would just get watered down so much because they're trying to reach such a large audience that it'll not be its original form. So the good thing about these, horror, especially having such a great network, like you think of the number of filmmakers out there in the horror genre alone that are making movies hand over fist, and obviously we've had a few of these guys in the show, and that they're relentless, even though it's easy to sit here and pick apart. But when you realize the timing, like that's the one thing that really took me back when I was speaking to Calvin, was how tight the timing is when a small studio funds one of these movies. They've got like a week, 11 days, not even 14 days to film a movie, edit it, and have it post-production. Like that's insane. And I imagine this wouldn't be much different, because that's, they're trying to get the product out to sell. They're not gonna, the huge studios can waste millions on reshoots and that, but these sort of companies, it's kind of, we need this out, we need to start making money back immediately or we're going bust. It's that sort of thing. That's what I'm saying, that the script, if they got that bit tied up before they even go to location, and the storytelling aspect of it, if somebody was there helping and getting that bit tied up, and you don't have to change the entire movie, a lot of these would be little gems, like genuinely little gems of movies, and they would only make the franchise stronger. In fact, it would be a beacon to say, look what we can do on such a tight time and a tight budget with genuine storytelling. And look at the huge studios wasting so much money and time and causing drama to deflect from the fact they're making lazy, bad product. That's I think that's where my frustration is with all these type of movies, is just it could be so easily fixed if the directors didn't feel under so much pressure, and we're tight time constraints, because obviously they're not going to it makes sense if you're trying to sell a script. Now that I'm understanding the business a bit more, you're not going to write out a fully fleshed script just to sit on a corner, because that's time. And if you're trying to make a living from movies, you're wanting the idea. So you're trying to pitch the idea before you can go to basically get the studio to go, yes, we'll fund this. Then you're in the race against time to get it fully fleshed out, because you're not going to spend time. It's like authors have the manuscript, and that manuscript can go around for years before getting picked up, if at all. But that's why a lot of authors can't make a living. That's the amount of time it goes into writing something and then trying to get it picked up. That's a year. You know what I mean? At the minimum, you're talking 6 months to a year's work without seeing a return. And it's even worse, I think, for movie industry, because you've then got to find staff, you've got to find actors, you've got to find locations, you've got to do this all in a tight window while the studio is prepared to pay for it. But you got to have the idea first, but you can't afford to spend the time fully fleshing out the idea, because if it's not the thing the studio's looking for, you're not getting it. You're not getting it funded. And if you've got a contract with a studio, you're kind of in breach of contract then if you go to the other ones, because then that studio that might have given you, you're more likely to get work from, because you've got that relationship. If you start going to other studios, they're going to drop you. So, and that's where all the litigation and the bad feeling and the bad mouthing comes in, because once somebody starts doing that, so it's not easy to do. So I just want you to appreciate when I'm sitting here talking about these movies, I'm not just panning the physique, I'm just picking up wee things, just little frustrations that I would like to see tidied up, because I think there's so many good ideas. Like, this is his own story. I know I've likened it to a couple of things, but it's still his own story. And it's worth a watch. Don't get me wrong, it's worth a watch. Links in the description, check it out. Then we get to the end, and it's the final, confrontation with the cult, and then find out it is a full cult. And Alfred the doll, that's almost their deity, and that's who they provide. The writer going to the cottage is like the sacrifice being offered up to him. Like I said, it's a good idea, and even though I wouldn't say fully cheesy, but the fact that the doll's going around, it's quite obvious the person in a costume. It's still done well, so I don't hate it. I've seen a lot worse. The bit that gets me is at the end of this, when we see the writer again, the writing agent, and it sort of skips back to the scene with the first person, the woman that got the doll sent out. That scene, I'll not spoil it, but that scene makes no sense as to why things were played out the way they were. So, like I was talking about not yesterday. I was talking about the cherry tree. Was that Saturday? God, I'm losing track of days. Flipping, these bank holiday weekends, especially having 2 in a row, it's just messed my head up. My whole routine's out the window. But like that final scene in that movie ruined it. Just cheapened everything that went before. This final scene, well, this one almost did the same thing. You're going, why did you do that? What is this achieving? But there you go. I suppose, like I said, if you're on that tight a budget and you're trying to do stuff, maybe it's, oh right, I need 5 minutes to fill what I do, or if you're doing things in a rush, then what might seem like a good idea at the time or when you shoot it, not so much. But there you go. I did actually enjoy this one. I'll say that. I did enjoy it for the most part. Cool movie. It is what it is. Nice tale. It wasn't overly gory. There was a bit of gore and stuff. No boobies, unfortunately, in this one, so doesn't have to go with I'll have to step up the booby game. But we've had quite a few lately, so it's good. But there's a good bit of sexual tension as well, without going fully there. So that's good to see. That's good character acting. Building on a bit of titillation and a bit of teasing now and again. So that was especially the girl that plays the seductress. And she did a great job with her character. And then the reveal later on in the movie of who she was cool, which I deliberately left out, by the way, because you need to watch it to see it. But there you go. There's my review. God, I still want half an hour. So there you go. Thought this was going to be a quick one, but hope you enjoyed it. If you check out the movie, as usual, let me know what you thought of it. Leave it in the comments. Keep up to date with the channel, do the typey clicky things. And until next time, keep it creepy, keep it horrific.